Today on Beer Scientist, we'll be doing a honey brown ale. For this batch we will be doing a mini mash. Here we have our mini mash grains. We have a half pound of Crystal 40, which is a sweet caramel flavor and an amber color. We have a half pound of Crystal 60, which gives us a sweet caramel flavor and a golden yellow color. It also gives the beer a good body. We have 1.5 pounds of Two Row. It's a grain that gives us a smooth flavor. We have a half pound of honey malt. Honey malt gives us intense sweetness with no bite. And we have a 1/4 pound of chocolate malt. Chocolate malt gives us a dark color and a roasted flavor. For our malt extract, we'll be using 4 pounds of amber malt extract and 1.5 pounds of honey. So we are putting honey into this beer. For our hops, we'll be using 1 ounce of Mount Hood hops. Mount Hood hops are US grown hops. Mount Hood hops are mildly bitter, spicy, and give a clean taste. For our yeast, we'll be using 1 vial of White Labs California Ale 051 yeast. This yeast is known to produce fruity, full-bodied beers. We've brought a stock pot of 2.5 gallons of purified water up to 160 degrees. We have our mini mash grains. We're going to go ahead, put these grains in the stock pot and let them mash for 45 minutes. I've dunked the mini mash grains in the water a few times. You can already smell the sweetness from the honey malt grains. We're going to put a lid on this and let it mash for 45 minutes. We've let our honey brown ale mash for 45 minutes. We're going to take these grains, dunk them a few times, and then put them on this strainer. Now we're going to take our batch, turn the heat back on. We have our burner back on. We're going to take hot mash water, take 3 of these 2-cup measuring cups, and pour the hot mash water, 170 degree mash water, over this grain bag to get the rest of those sugars out. We'll let the water fully strain out of this grain bag, and then we'll just bring the rest of this batch up to a boil. We've brought our batch up to a boil. Let's go ahead and take it off the burner and add in the rest of the sugars. Here we have 4.5 pounds of amber malt extract and 1.5 pounds of honey. We're going to add this into our batch, dissolve it all into the batch water. We've emptied our 4.5 pounds of amber malt extract and 1.5 pounds of honey into the batch, fully dissolved it. We're going to put the stock pot back onto the burner and then bring it up to a boil. We put our batch back into the burner, turned on the burner, we're bringing it up to a boil. We're going to stir it frequently to make sure that the sugars that we just added to the batch do not burn. Boil, we're going to add in our 1 ounce of Mount Hood hops. These are our bittering hops. These are actually the only hops that we need for this batch. The 60-minute boil is going to give us that mildly bitter, clean, and spicy flavor that the Mount Hood hops are known for. So this will boil for 60 minutes, releasing the bittering as well as releasing those flavors and oils. We're going to stir this batch every 7 to 10 minutes to make sure that the sugars still don't burn. Keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't overboil. 60 minutes, we're going to take it off the burner, put a wort chiller in it, and cool it down all the way to 80 degrees. Honey brown ale into the sink. Submerge the wort chiller into it. We're going to bring it all the way down from boiling to 80 degrees. So we'll let this wort chiller cool off our wort, cool off our batch for about 10 minutes. To 80 degrees, let's go ahead, put it into our primary fermentation carboy, prepared for fermentation. Here we have our primary fermentation 6.5 gallon glass carboy. We're going to pour our batch into this carboy and then add enough purified water to bring us up to a total of 5.25 gallons. Before we add in the yeast, let's go ahead and grab our initial gravity. We use this Thief. We'll grab a sample. We'll use this hydrometer to grab the initial gravity. This initial gravity will allow us to calculate the alcohol by volume of this beer. We can see our initial gravity is right around 1.060, which is great. That's our expected initial gravity. We'll return this sample and then add the yeast. Here we have our vial of California Ale 051 yeast from White Labs. We're going to add this in. This will give us the fruity, full-bodied flavor that we're looking for in this beer. We've plugged this carboy with a rubber stopper. Let's go ahead and aerate this batch. Now we need to work air into this batch to allow fermentation to begin. Yeast needs air to start fermentation. We're going to take this carboy, shake it back and forth, working as much air in as possible. Worked air into the batch. We're going to plug this carboy with a hold rubber stopper, 3-piece airlock, tuck this batch away to start fermentation. We've tucked our honey brown ale in the pantry. We're going to let it ferment for 7 days. Now the pantry is a great place for fermentation. It's a dark, dry place. We'll keep it here for the next 7 days, let it ferment, then we'll move it to secondary fermentation in 7 days. This has been the batch creation of a honey brown ale.